forget to unmute the mic before we started recording.
Who's to say who did and who didn't?
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's me.
And me.
And we're back with Senior Detectives.
Oh, it's been so long.
It's been so long, but we're back to give you the latest and greatest in our
Namce
experience.
hits.
Our experiences with the Namce hits, yeah.
So this is kind of like, if any of the long-time listeners remember when we did the TV show episode where we just talked about the first couple episodes.
For 6 episodes.
Yeah.
It was very free-flowing.
It was a megasode.
Yeah.
A megazord, if you will.
Megasode's still the same length as all the other episodes.
Yeah. And this is gonna be the same.
Similar.
We're gonna be talking about 3 games.
I've got them written down right here so we don't forget, because we also have a special surprise
that we're not going to talk about, and you have to guess what it is in the comments.
So get those typing fingers ready, if you can guess. Anyway, so yeah, we have 3 Namce games that we have played on your Twitch channel recently, that we did not recap on this show at the time because we were lazy.
Yeah. and depressed.
And depressed. Both of those things.
Yeah.
Interchangeable. Anyway, so let's just dive right in. Do you want to dive right in?
Of course.
We are going to recollect as best we can these 3 games and our impressions of them.
And I think we should go in order. Mm-hmm. So starting with the Captive Curse.
Yeah. The Captive Curse. What year did it come out?
Do we do that on this show?
I don't know if we do. I won't look it up. You can look it up.
It came out in 2011.
Jesus, that's too recent. That's too recent for what that game looks like.
I think, and we'll talk about it when we get to the next game on the list.
Yeah.
I feel like this is what a Namce game is and should be, though.
You're right. There is a certain degree to which the Captive Curse is kind of the... I think I liked it.
I did.
I think it's really high on my list of games that we have played. Mm-hmm. Because there were a lot of very interesting puzzles in it, and all of the puzzles were very different from each other.
Yes.
And there were none of them... I mean, we did use walkthroughs a little bit, because we are not afraid of walkthroughs on this show.
But going forward with the current game we are playing, we've decided that we're not going to do that anymore.
Right, but my point is, like... I never felt like we didn't have information in Captive Curse. You know, I never felt like the information that we were missing or, like, the bits that we were stuck on were not, like, things where I looked at the answer and I was like, oh, this is, like, I should have known this.
Yeah, I agree. I liked the layout also. It was like a maze when you first start playing. But as you keep playing, you get the hang of, like, where everything is.
Yeah, so should we go over the basic plot of Captive Curse? Do you remember the basic plot of Captive Curse?
Yes, it's I came to this castle to see the monster, but all I got was this t-shirt.
So Namce is in Germany at the request of somebody who just owns a castle as, like, a tourist resort.
The burger.
No, not the Burgermeister.
Yeah.
There's, like, a guy, like, Marcus, the guy who, like, owns the castle.
I thought
the
he
guy
was
on
the
phone.
Burgermeister.
No, it's a different guy.
Oh, okay.
Carl is the Burgermeister.
Oh, okay.
Marcus owns the castle.
He
just
don't know
runs
who that
it.
is. Okay,
Carl just runs
it's fine.
it.
Just keep going.
So Namce gets to the castle and she's like, I guess there's been monster sightings here, and it's just in time for a big festival that's coming up. And everybody who works in the castle, including the Burgermeister who runs the place, and Anya, who runs the store.
Yes.
And this old woman whose name is Renata, I think.
Yes.
And this little boy. There's always a boy.
Yeah, his name is Lucas.
Sometimes the boy is Jane.
I was gonna say there's either always a little boy or somebody named Jane.
Yeah. But the boy is, like, the best boy that we've had in the game. I think that's part of why I liked the Captive Curse so much, is I really liked Lucas.
Yeah.
He was, like, annoying and shitty. But I didn't, he wasn't like Jane in Blackmore Manor.
No.
He wasn't like, hi. Boy,
I mean, he did have games.
But his games were fun.
Yeah.
His minigame was fun. That's the thing. Like, all of the puzzles and minigames, of which there are many, don't get me wrong, this is still a Namce game, but they're still entertaining. They're still good.
Mm-hmm.
So Namce essentially has to figure out why the monster is attacking and yada, yada, yada. Some highlights from the game for me. If I may. I know I'm kind of like
I was just
taking
gonna ask
over the conversation.
No. I was going to ask, like, after you were done describing the plot, what you liked about the game, because then I was gonna talk about what I liked about the game.
Yeah. Again, like, I think the puzzles were really unique for an Namce game. There was the puzzle that, like, not only was the, like, monsters and the cows minigame very, very fun to play, they had that hexagon minigame in the well. Or, like, you found a piece in the well, or, like, it was at the bottom of the well, or something like that. Something around a well. But there was something where you had to, like, rotate hexagons to, like, match up the sides, and I just very much liked that. I'm a big fan of just, like, spatial puzzles, and there was a lot of that. There was the one with, like, the different colored boxes you had to overlay on each other. Yeah. There were just a lot of things that were, like, personally very different.
That was Silent Spy.
No, it wasn't.
Different colored boxes that you had to overlay across each other with Silent Spy.
We're talking about two different puzzles.
Okay.
Because there was the box in the hallway in Captive Curse, and the top of the box had a bunch of colored puzzles. So I think the things that I liked about the Captive Curse were, like, there was, like, a clear reason for us to be there. It wasn't, like, danger by design when Namce just decides to be a fashion intern. She's like, I'm here to solve a mystery. And she does.
Those are always the better ones.
And B, the puzzles are just personally very addicting to me.
Yeah, and now that you've talked about all of the puzzles...
I didn't talk about all of the puzzles.
I was just making a joke.
I love you.
I love you too.
Wow. As a friend.
As a friend, as a co-host. So the stuff that I liked about the game is, I'll talk about the story. I liked the story. I thought it was fun. I thought there's this really interesting twist that they did in this game where Lucas was pretending to be the monster at some point, but then you see the monster outside, so it's just it kind of like flips it on his head, because the whole beginning half of the game, you kind of get the feel that it's just Lucas doing a prank. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, it's not. This is something else going on here.
It subverts your expectations, and that's comedy, baby.
Yeah. That's also just fun storytelling.
Yeah, also that.
I also, this is gonna sound dumb, but I liked the gift shop. You
liked buying things?
I liked the fun little, like, gifts that they... like, had that you could buy. Sure. I liked the shirt. I liked the little, like, Frankenstein-esque dolls you could get. Sure. And like I said before, I really enjoy, like, the setting of this game. I enjoy the layout because in some Namce games, you're just kind of, like, going across to a bunch of different places. This is very much set in one place, but they made the place a challenge to, like, figure out, like, how to navigate.
Yeah, and there were, like, maps and secret passageways, and it was interesting.
And, like, that's what I like. And I think that's what I like about Blackmore Manor, too. I like the Namce games where traveling is small, but it's intricate.
It's intricate,
yeah, it's intricate. And, like, I'm still gonna say that, like, I think, what was the... Secret of the Old Clock is still one of my favorites that we've played. And,
with, like, the driving?
That is very much not, like, the same.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I liked their use of the location, and how they, like, incorporated it in with the story.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what my favorite would be that we've played. I really liked Shadow at Water's Edge, which we played off-stream.
We played off-stream. That one was pretty good.
Except for all of the, like, weird racist accents in that game.
Yeah, of course.
But I think just, like, structure-wise, the Captive Curse is really, really up there for me. Yeah. It's a solid classic Namce game with an interesting story and good puzzles. Yes. Yeah. I feel like at some point this episode we have to talk about Ned.
Why?
We have to talk about Ned Nickerson.
Why?
Because we've played enough of these games at this point that there's been a clear through line for Ned.
Okay.
And I feel like that comes out in Captive Curse as well as the other games we're going to talk about today.
That's fair. Okay.
And the issue for me, and I, you know, I am a homosexual, and I do just, like, pay too much attention to men in video games. And we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Really? Okay.
We're gonna get to it.
Oh, yeah.
But, Ned Nickerson is Namce's boyfriend. He's always Namce's boyfriend, no matter what adaptation we're talking about. If you go back to the Caroline Keene books, Namce and Ned are going steady. The Ned Nickerson in the Namcy Drew games is toxic. And
yes.
I say toxic not as like, oh, he's a bad boyfriend to her. I mean, they shouldn't be together.
They shouldn't be together. They're both beards for each other.
Yes.
Ned Nickerson is constantly going to parties and lying about it to Nancy.
Yes.
He is, like...
I think it's Captive Curse when, like, we call him at one point and there's, like, a woman on the phone.
Yeah.
And then he hangs up on us.
Yes.
And that's just never explained in the game.
And he tries to be like, Namcy, you, like, never pay attention to me. You always go off without telling me.
Which is fair. She's
yes.
constantly traveling around the world, jet-setting and solving mysteries. But also... he needs to be supportive of her career.
Yes.
And also she needs to pay better attention. Like, they're not good for each other.
No.
Why are they still together?
Because nobody knows how to let go. You know, you have this classic thing that was popular in when did these books come out? Oh, you mean on a
metatextual level?
Yes, on a metatextual level.
No one knows how to cut Ned out.
Am I wrong? Nobody knows how to let go. Just because it was in the old original thing doesn't mean you can't change it.
I don't know if we need to, like, cut Ned out entirely.
He can still be there.
I would like to have a game where Namcy breaks up with Ned, and then I would like the next game to be, you can still call Ned for hints, but you're, like, friends who are also exes.
That's what
I think that would be dynamic and interesting.
But nobody knows how to let go,
No one knows how to let go, yeah.
Like, it's the classic, like, Ned and Namcy, you know? They were
yep,
always
that
meant to be.
couple, Ned and Namcy.
And I don't know. You should be able to subvert the genre in that way, you know?
Yeah.
You should be able to do something new with it. And jumping off of that, new Midnight in Salem.
I had one more thing to say about Ned.
Okay.
Just the one thing I wanted to say is, like, I think it has been a string of, like, a few games at this point that we have played specifically where the Ned-Nancy relationship is almost exclusively they're fighting.
Yes.
And I, like that is why I wanted to bring this up in this episode, is because if multiple of your games, granted there are over 30 games in the series, but if multiple games in a row are like, Ned is constantly angry at Nancy, and Nancy's like, you don't support me, Ned, just break up. It's okay to break up sometimes.
Here's the thing. So the next game we're going to talk about is Midnight in Salem.
Yes.
Midnight in Salem is the most recent of the Namcy games.
Yes.
It came out in 2019. It was originally announced in 2015.
Yeah.
It spent 4 years, or it was 2015,
It's like the biggest gap between Namcy games.
Yes, because they Her Interactive laid off 80% of their staff, and then they switched to Unity. And they were also, like, saying that it was, like...
the world's greatest video game engine, Unity. I'm kidding. Unity's a solid engine. It's just very, like I learned how to use Unity in college, and so Unity's it's fine. Don't worry about it. Continue.
I don't remember what I was saying.
I'm so sorry. You were talking about it's a new game. It came out last year. It was announced in 2015. They laid off their staff.
They laid off 80% of their staff. They delayed it for 4 or 5 years.
And they switched to Unity.
And they're technically seeing this as like like a relaunch, like a reboot of the Namcy games.
And that's very clear from the game when you play it. It's a very different feel to Namce.
I do not like this game.
You don't like it.
I don't.
You really liked the tutorial level.
I liked the tutorial level because it did a good job of engrossing you in the world and the mystery. Mm-hmm. Because you start off immediately just like, this is...
Vienna.
Yeah, this is like what a Namce game is. You're gonna have to do puzzles, like solve this like easy little puzzle real quick, make sure to look around things. And it was very cool. And there was like a chase sequence.
Yeah,
that was
a ninja steals a book from you and you chase him into the woods.
But then when you get to Massachusetts, so the plot of the game is like, you are basically going to Massachusetts to find a book that is related to the Salem witch trials, and you're also trying to like clear this woman's like name for arson.
Yeah, because there's like an old important house that used to belong to like a judge of somebody, like a judge from the Salem witch trials. Yeah.
And they introduced the Hardy Boys in this game. And
we're going to talk about that.
I know that you want to talk, but I just want to do a chunk real quick.
Yes.
I did not like that about this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how you go back and forth between, like, you play as Joe Hardy, right?
You play as Frank Hardy.
Frank Hardy. They're the same.
They're not the same. Frank is marryable and Joe's just a fuck. But...
Jesus Christ. So you go back and forth playing, like, as Namce and as the Hardy boy. Frank. And, I'm just gonna lay it all out right now, and then I'll let you talk about what you want to talk about this game, if that's all right.
I do know your thoughts on this, and I'm giving you the space.
I think it was an interesting game, but you come to a Namce game, and you expect the last chunk of the game to be puzzle, and you expect Namce to be doing all of those puzzles. They gave the hardest puzzle in this game to the Hardy Boy. I do not know why they did that. I don't know if they're getting ready to launch a Hardy Boys game, which I don't fucking care about that. No, I don't care, because if you launch a Hardy Boys game and it's like 1% like more popular than Namce, they're gonna stop making Namce games.
So angry about this.
And yeah, I am, because they gave the hardest puzzle in the Namcy Drew game to a boy. Yeah. It's not called the Hardy Boy.
Thing for you.
It's not. I'm just mad.
Yeah.
Like, if it was anybody else, I would be mad as well.
Yeah.
But, like, that's not why you come to a Namce game. You don't, like, I don't know, you don't play Namcy Drew to be a Hardy Boy.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I just think that sucks. And that makes me sad. Like, why did they have to give the hardest puzzle to them? Let Namcy Drew be fucking smart, you know? But I guess she can't anymore in this reboot.
Oh.
She gets to make potions and pancakes and puts together, like, fucking drawer sets from IKEA.
The pancakes are so fun.
They're fun at the beginning, and then when you go try to make more, it's just pouring batter onto a grill and flipping them. You don't get to remake the pancakes. Anyway, would you like to talk now?
Anyway, in Midnight in Salem, you meet up with your ex-girlfriend, who's just like a mean girl you know from school, I think, Deirdre.
Yeah.
But she's definitely, this is the gayest Namce's ever been. Here's the thing, listener. I like Midnight in Salem. I don't think it's my favorite game, and I think there are definitely parts where you do find yourself asking, why are there protesters in a small town like this? But I do like it for what it is. I like the addition of the Hardy Boys, and here's my like rebuttal to you. This is the gayest Namce has ever been in a game. Every single woman in this game is gay, and most of them are Namce's exes. And it does not take much reading between the lines to get that.
Yeah,
Bess and George are gay in this game.
I agree with that. I don't think it fixes the game for me.
No.
I think that was the best part of the game.
No, I want to point out other parts of the game than the hardest puzzle goes to the Hardy Boys.
I know.
Yeah.
There's some other stuff that I don't feel like I'm the one to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, because there's other bad things about the game.
Oh,
but
there's always...
me as who I am as a person, I don't think I should talk about it. I feel like that should be a conversation for other people to have.
Yeah. Yes. And yes. Yes, there are some racial things going on in this game that neither of us are qualified to talk about. But like the character of Lauren, I think, is a fun character.
Yeah.
And like I like the idea that you're walking into this town where there's just like a rich history, and it's not just like, let's read about this woman who saved some windows in World War II.
Yeah, let's go on a walking tour.
No.
I'm making a joke.
Yeah. You can go on a walking tour of a cemetery, and it's fun. You can walk around a cemetery in this game, and I fucking love cemeteries, so maybe that's why I like this game. But it's just like all of the characters are deep in this game, and they all have like relationships with each other that feel dynamic, because like, oh, there are 3 women in this town who like all grew up together and became like a fun little like witch coven when they were kids, and then like one of their sister accidentally burned down a house, and like they were all traumatized by it, and then it like feeds into what's happening now. And also there's this boy who's an asshole, and he has a car, and he's like fucking a lawyer, but whatever. He's too young to fuck that lawyer. I like the way that characters are part of the mystery in this game.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I will say it does not change my opinion on not liking this game.
Yeah,
I still think,
and you're allowed to not like it.
Yeah, but I do agree with you that like the characters did feel very fleshed out and very connected.
Yeah.
And I do like that. I think that is a thing that this game did well.
Yeah.
Even though they had to fire 80% of their staff.
Yes, I do not know details about like what has happened at Her Interactive, and there's a huge chance that the game industry is bad.
Yes.
This is going to be a hot take. I know that no one has said this before, but maybe the game industry is bad. Ooh,
it's fine.
Okay. I thought we were stopped recording because the screen went dark, but it's just that we've been talking for a while. Oh, our special surprise is happening.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's why I like the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys, yes, Namcy Drew is an iconic character, and like the most famous of like the girl detective trope, which has become like a fairly widespread and important trope in young adult fiction.
Name 5 more.
I can't, because Namcy's the only famous one.
Okay.
No, like it's
no, I know she
like
is.
like in like the 50s and 60s when she was first getting published, like when the series was actually running, she was part of like a huge just like growth of like, that was like the fad for kids books, was like girl detectives. And so I understand the importance of needing to keep Namcy as the focus, and so I agree with you on that point. I will say that there's a very, very long history of Namcy Drew and the Hardy Boys, like, being the same IP.
That's true. Because, like, there's been crossover with, like, the old TV show and, like, just stuff like
and
that.
Books. There have been crossover books. And so, like, I like that Her Interactive is acknowledging that part of the Namcy historical canon. Because I do think that it's fun to have additional detectives on the scene with Namcy, and she's not the only one going around and doing things, because usually in the games, like, you can call your friends Bess and George, and you can call your terrible boyfriend Ned, but you never see them in the games, and and you can call the Hardy Boys in some of the games, but I just really liked the opportunity to see in person and even play as, like, canonical friends of Namcy's.
I understand where you're coming from. I still disagree. I think they did it too much in this game.
Sure. And I think that's just a point where we disagree, because I don't know that the hardest puzzle I understand what you mean by the hardest puzzle. It wasn't the last puzzle in the game, and the last puzzles do go to Namcy.
But also, like, what we've seen in Namcy games in the past is the hardest puzzle is usually the last puzzle.
Yeah.
And so when I see the hardest puzzle going to somebody else and truly Namcy's last puzzle was just putting together a jigsaw of, like, a drawer set.
Yeah, that I did in, like, 20 seconds. Yeah. You did that, right? Yeah.
And so, like, that is what...
Yeah. No, and
I
understand you, and I understand the agitation. I think we have to just respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
And this podcast is a space for respectful disagreements. And so listener, it's us to you.
It's us to you.
Saying we can respectfully disagree on this game and whether we like Midnight in Salem. But yeah, just to close out, the Hardy Boys are extremely sexy. And just as somebody who has a noted and documented history on this show, paying special attention to the men in Namce's life, it was just nice to play as a little daddy himbo.
Oh god. And jumping off of that point, let's talk about mamas.
Let's talk about mommy.
Mamas.
Mamas?
Mommies. Look up that clip on YouTube, Family Feud. We're gonna jump into Silent Spy. It came out in 2013. And the plot of this game is Namce, where is she? She's in
She is in Scotland?
because that's where we are now, in the current game.
Castle Mollay is Ireland.
Whoa.
Silent Spy is Scotland.
So we are in Scotland, and we are trying to... We find out that Namce's mom was a spy.
Oh my god.
And then so we're trying to find out if she's actually alive, like what happened, why she died, and stuff like that.
This is, as a game, you can feel that it is much closer to A Midnight in Salem than it was to Captive Curse.
Yes.
Because,
well, there's only 4 games between the two.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is sorry? I was burping. Because the idea of delving into Namce's family and her mom has a secret hidden spy past is don't get me wrong, but it's too exciting a premise for classic Namce.
Yes.
It's very dramatic and whatever.
I will say, props to them for coming up with something, new and fun.
Yeah. Because as far as I know, that's not in the Namce canon. I mean, I could be wrong. I could fully be wrong. There are fucking hundreds of Namce books, and I have not read all of them. Are you tweeting while we're recording?
Yeah, I'm just getting ready.
We're gonna stream after this, and they're very excited about it.
You can catch the stream on twitch.tv/thepigeonwizard. Follow me. Follow us. Mostly me.
What is a Silent Spy about?
We just talked about.
I know, we just talked about
the plot.
The fact that mom is a spy, but what happens?
Okay. So essentially, Namce is getting indoctrinated into this weird spy agency that her mom worked for.
It's nepotism.
And you're trying to figure out if those are actually good people, or there's this group called Revenant.
I love their logo.
Their whole thing is
they're just
low
anarchists.
Stakes because it's there's bombs all across the city, but the bombs are just gonna release a non-lethal gas.
No, it's a virus. It's like a biochemical weapon.
But it's not lethal.
But it's not lethal, but it is powerful enough that it'll shut down the world for a few days.
Yeah, it's just a fog machine, you know?
It causes... That's the thing that we made the most fun of while playing this game, is because we live in... I think it was like a bioweapon. It was some sort of virus or something. And we, living in a pandemic world and, knowing as much about epidemiology as any layman living in a pandemic world knows, the game's explanation of what this virus does is fucking crazy. It is enough to shut down society and affect 20% of the population, enough that nobody can go to work and society breaks down. But also it's not lethal and it's fine.
It just gives you asthma. In this game, there is another money system. You can buy some souvenirs. You have to buy train tickets. Because you have to travel to different places,
which is not as bad as some of the other things that we've had to play.
I think the places themselves are unique, and I like them. I think there's a better way than just trains. I also thought that some of the locations didn't feel like they belonged in the same game. Yeah, and you know how during Captive's Curse, you were putting a big emphasis on how you felt all of the puzzles made sense. Yeah. You didn't think that there was no piece of information that we didn't have. I felt the exact opposite of Silent Spy. I thought, I felt like we were running into so many roadblocks. Like, the game just, like, wasn't giving us, like, any idea of where to go next or how to figure out the puzzles.
Yeah, it did feel like a thing where we were looking at walkthroughs because we just did not fucking know what to do. Yeah. There seemed to be more of a specific... I just wrote a note for myself.
Okay.
It seemed like there was more of a specific order to which you could do things than there are in most Namce games.
Yeah.
So it felt more like a linear experience.
Like, yes, because in most Namce games...
Because you get shot at in this game, and you get, like... God. There are some cool animations in this game. I think the cutscene of you getting shot at is very fun. And I was gonna say the cutscene of, like, the spy house, like, when you unlock the shack and it, like, all flips out is very fun. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the Namce games and puzzles are very non-linear usually. Like, you can just do random puzzles just by accidentally stumbling upon them and just being like, oh, I know what this is a slide puzzle, or I know what this is, I have to make sure these two sides of the scale weigh the same.
Yeah.
You didn't get any of that in this. It was like, there's a bunch of pressure plate rocks, and they're all assigned to a letter, but you don't know what letter they are until you solve 3 more puzzles to get there. Yeah,
it was very hard to know the order you had to do things in, and that's why it made it so hard to parse. It was
very, like, spy-like, escape room-like.
Yeah. You know? I think... Another one of my critiques, other than the fact that, like, I think there was something going on with just, like, the set design that made it feel like it felt like the hotel was a different game than, like, the training area. Does that make sense? Like, the instruments.
It felt like they crunched and they just took a bunch of set pieces from other games and melded them into one.
And then they fired 80% of their staff.
3 years later.
3 years later, yeah.
2 years later.
I want
2 years later. So there are 3 games between this and Silent Spy.
That's what I'm saying, is what do those other games look like?
But also, like, 2013, the other game was announced in 2015. They released they released, like, 4 games in 2 years?
Yeah. Game crunch.
Let's go back to that.
Shadow at Water's Edge, I think, is one of them.
Holy shit.
We should play that again.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to on stream.
Yeah. Anyway, one of my other critiques, other than the set direction or set design, is the fact that it felt like not only was it so unclear what specific... like, the Jabberwocky puzzle was so fucking arcane. Not only did it do that, but it felt like there were some puzzles that it didn't use as much as it should have. Like, there's a whole thing where very early in the game you get a book of just, like, a bunch of plaid, like, patterns and, like, the clans that they belong to.
And you don't use that till the end.
You don't use that to the end, and you don't even have to reference the book really at all.
Yeah, you have to look at it once. You just have to
match a picture to a picture, and that just felt like disappointing.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked... That's the thing. I really liked the story in this game. I think the puzzle structuring was really, really off.
Yeah. I agree.
I think
they had a really...
this is the worst of the 3 that we're talking about today. I think story-wise, it's the best.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they had the most interesting Namce plot that we've ever seen. Yeah. Because it was so original. Yeah. But without being original, because, I mean, you see spy tropes all the time. And there were interesting
characters in this. And I liked the idea of, like, Namce, but as a spy heist. Like, I just very much like genre inversions and, like, putting a genre inside another genre. Like, I'm running a Monster Hearts game where Monster Hearts is Riverdale.
We've talked about this when we talked about the show, where it's like sometimes inversion is good if it's a one-off thing. So it's like you have that classic Namce, like she's just going and solving a mystery. You invert it by doing a spy trope. The show does it the wrong way in, like, they're trying to invert it by making the ghosts real, but they're doing it for the entire show.
They are doing it for the whole show. Remember when George got possessed?
How could I forget?
Remember the thing with the mask that we just watched? We're gonna do an episode about this.
Yeah, we're gonna do another episode. We gotta watch a couple more episodes, though, yeah.
I'm gonna scream.
Is there more that we want to say?
What do we want to say? Silent Spy is also very fun because you get to listen to people do Scottish accents the whole time. Yeah. And, like I think the side characters are all very interesting as well, which, like, is the thing that I liked about Midnight in Salem. Yeah, you can just...
Yeah. I don't think all of the side... I think there's one side character who's lacking a bit.
Yeah.
The man that you're, like, answering to for, like, the spy stuff.
Sure,
I think he's lacking just a little bit, but I agree with you with, like... the others.
Yeah, like the woman who's like pretending to be British but is actually American.
I liked her.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's also a lot of waiting in this game. Like, there's a few times where you have to call Ned or your dad, and then you have to wait for them to do something so you can have that information, which is strange.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I do like that there were some quests that you could fail, and it, like, didn't give you a fail state.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But I also don't think it affected the story.
No.
Is there anything else you want to say? Or should we start wrapping up?
Yeah, we could start. I'm just thinking about Revenant now, because Revenant's just a bunch of, like, they're like, called terrorists, but when you look at, like, what they actually want to do with the world, it's like, oh, y'all are just, like, militant anarchists, and, like, I follow a bunch of you on Twitter. I'm gonna get on an FBI watch list now for saying that.
Jesus Christ, you're gonna get me on the watch list.
Good.
I guess if, like, there's no other, like, thoughts we have, we can...
I don't know, did you have any
No, I think...
Looking at these three games as, like, a set that we're talking about, are there any particular comparisons you would like to make?
I mean, I already made a few.
Mm-hmm.
I think Midnight in Salem, I don't think there's I mean, yeah, like, I think we've already made a lot of comparisons already.
What is your ranking of these games? If you have to rank them from, like, best to worst overall game.
Captive Curse, Midnight in Salem, Silent Spy, only because Silent Spy was so confusing with the puzzles.
Yeah.
That, like, I just remember being so agitated.
Yeah.
And like, even though I don't think Midnight in Salem is, like, a particularly, like, great game, I would rank it higher than Silent Spy.
Okay.
Because I still appreciate that, like, the story was interesting enough, and, like, the puzzle, like, I'm taking all aspects of the game, not just the one thing I don't like, you know?
Yeah.
What about you?
I was gonna talk about, I was gonna rank Silent Spy above Midnight in Salem, but then I just remembered, the gay younger sister in Midnight in Salem, and I was like, I like you. So I think for me, like, I think I rank Midnight in Salem and Silent Spy at kind of the same level. At this point, it's just me deciding, like, which side characters I liked better. But I would agree with you in putting Captive Curse first. I think we as just, like, gamers, just, like, on a purely, like, subjective standpoint, are drawn more to the more classic looking adventure games.
Yeah.
And so I think we tend towards, like, oh, this is what a Namce game should be, like a solid classic Namce game. And clearly in the last few years, Her Interactive has been trying to go in some sort of different direction with Namce. And also just like was the story better than either of the other two in Captive Curse? No, not necessarily. But, like, it's fun to play.
Yeah.
And I think the puzzles are structured well enough within the game that it counts as, like, a good Namce puzzle game.
Yeah.
Sorry for going for forever on that.
Hey, no, you're okay. But thanks, everyone, for listening and sticking with us through this long episode.
It's been a long one.
It's been a long one. But it was a megasode. You know?
Yeah.
It's only, like, 10 to 20 minutes longer than a normal one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, like, go play Captive Curse.
Go play all of them.
And
decide for yourself.
Watch us play them.
Watch us play them on Twitch. Twitch.tv/thepigeonwizard.
If for some reason you're listening to this and not seen our stream yet.
Yeah, if you stumbled upon this. But yeah, thanks for listening to Senior Detectives. It's been me.
And me.
If you can find us on the internet, please tell us how. Because we do not have our socials on this or anything.
I've never met a Twitter.
You've heard my Twitch channel name, so you could probably find us from there.
Yeah.
But I'm not putting any links. Like, you gotta type that in.
We are ghosts in the machine.
Yes. Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, it's been me.
And me.